the same thing into social finance, right? Nobody is compelling you to give zakat. Nobody is compelling you to create wakaf, right? A lot of time it does happen. And I can tell you from my experience, right? Parent pass away. You want to do, you regret you couldn't do enough for your parents, right? You regret. So what is still? Of course, you can make dua, but then you create a wakaf in their name, right? To do more. So these are venues, these are motivation, external motivation made you to do something, right? So because you are in the industry, every day you are practicing zakat, sadaqah, wakaf, you're practicing. This is how you need to advise people who come to you. Should I give sadaqah? Should I give zakat? Right? Is to look at what is their internal motivation, what is their external motivation. Based on this, a advice is formed. What you should do, right? How you should participate into this. Okay? So motivation is very, very key. Without motivation, we are not going to move forward with this industry. Okay? It just becomes an academic exercise. That's what they call it, academic exercise. Okay? We want to be practitioners. All right. So now, taking this whole thing into the industry. So now we have understood the principles, we have understood motivation. We want to take this into the industry. Let's talk about the industry, and that's the next section, is the industry itself. Now, industry is a very large thing to say. Let's refine our industry. That within the industry, there is the social finance industry, the institution of zakat, wakaf, and others, right? Baitul Mal or maybe others. Industry is very wide, okay? The industry that I want to refer to you that I see from my practice of last 10 years is making a difference if you adopt and be part of it with your social finance, is the industry of finance and fintech. Finance and fintech, okay? Because in principle, sadaqah, zakat, wakaf are nothing more than finance, is financial transactions. Something money related or asset related that is transacted through a contract. Okay, so that's what it is. So now, if today we are just going and promoting sadaqah, zakat, and wakaf on its own as vanilla, they call it vanilla, like ice cream, only one flavor. A lot of people don't subscribe into it. People are asking for strawberry and chocolate and mango and others. You have to create motivation for them to be part of wakaf and zakat. If you keep selling them vanilla, they're already tired. We have heard about this too many. Okay, there is actually a term for this. You know, surprisingly, a term. It is called donor fatigue. I don't know if you have heard of it. Donor fatigue. When you keep going and asking people for money, donation, after some time they will block your number. Okay, say every day he is like a beggar, just comes, same thing, ask money, like, but you don't show any result, right? But sadaqah, zakat, and wakaf was never meant to be that. Especially wakaf. Wakaf is one-time donation, but the benefit is forever. So why do you keep asking for money again? You create the donor fatigues, yeah? And you'll be surprised. To study this part of donor fatigue, there is actually a degree program at Cambridge, UK. You can attend a 4-year course just to learn about how to take money from donors and not create the donor fatigue. I was surprised when I look at the course. Wow. And there they teach you about psychology. I mean, I wouldn't say tricking people, but psychology of how to download the money from rich people for the purpose of charity. Okay. So there is that level of maturity in this space. Okay. So in practice, I've seen that if you implement social finance through financial institutions and through fintech, recently has been fintech, it seems to be very successful as compared to just going vanilla. Okay. Now, there is one more reason that you need to understand and appreciate. I don't know, I'm already quite old, that's why you see a lot of white hairs, right? And I'm quite okay if you give me a handwritten receipt, I'm still okay to take a number and stand in the queue. But our children, you know, we call them Gen Z and Gen X and Gen Y. I don't know what all the Gen is, but our children basically take it from you know, uh, uh, age 20 onwards, meaning downwards, not onward, downwards. They don't care about all this. They want money, they just call you, then you have to sustain for a whole day with that 20 kobo. All right? I remember in my primary school, my daily, right? I used to get 20 kobo for food, this 1980. And we were eating very well and drinking very well. We had King Cola. I don't know if you remember it, but we used to have King Cola. I see many people didn't say yes, only the old guy says yes. So we were buying because Coke was very expensive. It used to be 25 kobo. King Cola was 20 kobo. So we used to go for King Cola. So culture is changing. The consumption, the way of consuming things is changing. Gen Z, Gen Y is changing. Okay, they want information on the fingertips. They want transaction on the fingertips. They want things now. They are not going to wait till tomorrow. If you make them to wait, they would rather not do it. Okay, lot of things have changed, and it's changing because of what, sorry to say, but our mobile phone. Technology has changed the whole world. Initially was computer, then became our little computer like a laptop, and recently it has been our mobile phone. Our life stops when this stops. Okay, internet is controlling us, this device is controlling us. Okay, and for us, maybe we understand, we can talk about it, maybe we don't have so many years, but you have to think about the children. What happens in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years? So if our social finance, the 5 principles, do not adopt technology, I can bet you in 5 or 10 years, nobody will give any sadaqah, zakat, or wakaf. Forget it. Nobody is going to come and queue or come to your office and say, oh, which wakaf can I give? Nobody cares. You are not going to see any wakaf. So let's look at statistics to back this up. Okay, to back this up. In the last 10 years, how many new wakafs have been created? In the last 10 years, how many new wakafs were created? Globally, in all OIC countries, 57 countries, OIC, how many new wakafs are created? Minimum is just, throw away. How many wakafs were created in, say, example, 1700, 1700 until 1799? Billions of dollars of wakaf, which we are benefiting until today. How many wakafs were created in 1800 until maybe say 1847, 1850, before the British started coming? Billions of dollars worth of wakaf were being created. Okay, was there anybody coming and asking give zakat? No. Everybody, every business was practicing, every household was practicing to give zakat once a year. Nobody was coming to help. Okay, but things have changed. So this is where I think we stand at that, junction, that if we, as the policy makers and the practitioners, do not adopt and do not bring that change within the practice will not exist anymore, or it will become so minimum, it is negligible, that after a while, the government will say, this, you guys, you are wasting time here, just taking up the resources and the building, please, go and do it from somewhere else. Yeah, right? No, it doesn't create any benefit. Your yearly collections are so small, no need. And in many places, it's happening that the government doesn't feel that we are doing enough for the industry. We still keep going and asking the government for funding. We are not able to collect from zakat and wakaf. So I think we have to make a mandate for ourselves, personal, and for the agencies that we are working, that we will operate everything we do technology first. Okay, technology first. It has to be technology first. Yes, your governance, your Sharia, your halal, haram, all that can come after, but technology first. No technology, nothing. And is irrespective. You understand or you don't understand technology, is irrespective. You don't need to sit down to do programming. You don't need to sit down to create the website. There are enough young people out there can do for you. But you must guide them in what to do. And then they will create it. Okay? So technology first. So I'm going to take you now through this, in the space of the fintech industry. and maybe give you a perspective of what's happening in initially Malaysia, because I came from there, so I'm quite well versed with that country. So what's happening in Malaysia? We can make certain comparisons to Nigeria, okay? Because I wouldn't say Nigeria is that backwards when it comes to fintech. All is there, but is it being utilized by our social finance in the right? Okay, so I think that. So in Malaysia, if you look at fintech and the financial technology space, right? Basically, in 2024, so it's still the statistics are slightly old because of the consensus, right? The GDP of Malaysia is 1.65 trillion Malaysian ringgit. Okay, so one ringgit or one US dollar is equal to 4 ringgit. So that's the conversion rate. So from there you can convert already to US dollar. Okay, so one US dollar is equal to 4 Malaysian ringgit. Total population, the population of Malaysia is 34 million, right? Maybe with the foreigners and all, you put them in 35, 36 million most. Okay, bulk of it is in the in the developed places like the capital and maybe 2, 3 other cities. The rest is rural, but majority of the population is in developed centers. Okay, um, okay. So, sorry. Okay. Um, in terms of transactions, that everybody does on their phones and on their bank accounts and all that, on average, um, on the number of banks. In Malaysia, there are 60 banks, 60. Okay. But of course, you will not see that many banks because in banks, there are different categories. There's a retail bank, there is, investment bank, there's merchant bank, there's so many. So, of course, on the high street, what you see, you will just see maybe 6 to 8 banks, right? Maybank, CIMB, Standard Chartered, HSBC, a few others, Al Raji, all those. But in total, the number of licenses that have been given out by central bank is 60. Okay. So that shows there is a rich industry in the financial banking industry. Okay, if we come to the other number, 16.4, 16.7 billion is the e-payment transactions that are happening on an annual basis. Meaning e-transactions are every time you're doing mobile transfers, right? Paying for things, receiving money, sending money. It is so that many transactions are happening. And per capita, 409 transactions are happening per capita per annum. So each person is doing 409 transactions every year. Look at the number, right? Is huge, meaning every day they're doing so many transactions. And I think the number is growing very fast. Like this year, 2026, the number will be even 3 times higher because now Malaysia is making paperless, meaning cashless society. You go to even to the little market, you want to buy, some tomatoes, nobody pays cash. Everybody is just, the QR code is there. Sometimes nearly few weeks will pass before I have some paper money in my pocket. I think coins are gone already. I haven't seen a coin maybe in years. There is no coins. Okay. So can you see what the industry is going? So maybe US world, they are leading this, but Malaysia also is kind of second world or following this. So if it is happening in Malaysia now for the last 5 years, I can bet you that in the next 5 years, it will be happening here in Nigeria as well. Because technology always rolls over, right? So if you know that this is coming in the next 3 to 5 years, why don't we embark on managing it from today? Why don't we embark to learn it and to control it from today? Rather than when it comes, it fall on us, just like the motivation, right? External motivation. The central bank will just give an announcement. Next 30 days, everybody paperless, no donations through cash. Then you're running, oh, somebody can develop my website, payment gateway. How do I integrate? Oh, this doesn't work. What it does, it disrupts your business, your collection. People coming to give donation, you cannot take the cash because central bank has a paperless. Okay, so it's very important for us to understand where this whole industry, because we are in that part of that industry. We are part of social finance, right? But social finance is is finance and banking. So we are part of finance and banking industry of every country. So we must know where this industry is moving. So in Malaysia, the fintech finance technology industry, if you look at it, what do they actually provide in terms of technology? They are, sorry, I think I had a pointer. Let me see. All right. So these are the areas that the fintech financial industry is providing. Payment gateways, so payments is one. E-wallets, lending, okay, lending online, cross-border payments, remittances. Alternative finance, these are where sadaqah, zakat, and wakaf most of the time falls, is alternative finance. Blockchain for cryptocurrencies, insurance tech, which is insurance takaful online, wealth management and wealth tech, this is for investments and savings. Personal finance is mainly savings, okay. Islamic fintech, these are fintechs that have the Sharia certification. So they're called Islamic fintechs. KYC and RegTech, these are know your customer. KYC is know your customer. This is a regulation by the central bank that before you take money from anybody, you must have certain data about them. Okay, like name, identity, mobile number, email, address, right? And so that is KYC. So that's okay. And then data and AI, so data analytics and artificial intelligence, okay. And prop tech, this is property tech. So there is a lot of technology now around raising funding for developing property. And this affects Wakaf a lot because Wakaf is always developing land and developing property. So prop tech and then digital banking. Digital banking is where all the banking services are available through a mobile app. So in the mobile app, you can create your account. From the account, you can receive your salary. From the salary, you can pay out things, your rent, your phone bill, your other things. Okay. You can also deploy your savings then into investment accounts, saving accounts. So that is digital bank. So this is all the six, seven categories for one, so total 14 categories that are within the fintech, financial technology space. And a lot of them are quite mature here in Nigeria. So I did a bit of Google search and see who are the players. And surprisingly, there are a lot of players in all of these spaces. So Nigeria is quite advanced when you look at this. I looked at the central bank regulation on all of this. They have a lot of regulation, even some regulation which are more advanced than Malaysia, especially in this space of blockchain, cryptocurrency. Nigeria is more advanced than Malaysia. Malaysia is very, very conservative when it comes to cryptocurrency. Central bank doesn't allow it. Okay, you have to have very special permission before you can touch it. But I see Nigeria, anyone can go and apply for license and they're willing to give license. Of course, the cost is quite high, but they're willing to give license. So blockchain cryptocurrencies is quite advanced in Nigeria. And that creates a lot of opportunity for our social finance. Okay. Now, it's not something that is so unique and there are just few players. There are hundreds and thousands of players in this industry. In Malaysia alone, right, within each of those segments that I spoke to you, look at the number of companies that are providing services. So the first one is payment gateway. Look at how many payment gateways are there. It's like 60, 70 payment gateways are there in one country only. Okay. If we look at other, say, blockchain, look at the number of blockchain players in Malaysia. Look at e-wallet. So many e-wallet license holders. So this slide is mainly people who have received the central bank license. So I'm not considering people who are operating illegally. These are all people with the license in the different segments. And I think if I create the same slide for Nigeria, you will have equally same, if not more. Okay. So Nigeria is quite advanced. But if I take this slide and I put how many of these players are partnering with Zakat and Wakaf, maybe 2 or 3. We'll be lucky, depending on the different states. Okay. So that brings us back to our motivation, right? Are we doing a 9 to 5 job or are we doing a institutional reform? And I think this workshop is for institutional reform. If you're just planning to do a 9 to 5 job, I think this workshop is not the right place. Okay? We need to do institutional reform and for the future, not for now. Do things now that will have results in 1, 2, 3 until 5 years. And then we re-look back again, what are the new technologies, new practices that we can implement. Okay. All right. So yeah, these are some of the notable fintechs in Malaysia, large ones. Okay. Uh, okay. Let's do this. Okay. Now, these are the number of digital banks given licenses in Malaysia. These are five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So in 2019, Central Bank in Malaysia decided to give five digital banking licenses as compared to the other banks that are there, conventional banks. Okay. Digital bank basically means that there is a full-fledged bank, but it doesn't exist physically. It exists only in the internet. So you want to open an account, you just go on their website, you put your details, you open account. They issue you the account number, you can give to your employer, receive your salary. You can see your salary in the mobile app. They will send to you via mail, courier, your Visa or MasterCard, you can use. But physically, they have no branches. They have physically no ATM. You can use their card and put in any ATM, it works. But the bank doesn't exist physically. That's called a digital bank. Okay. So when Bank Negara or central bank announced they want to give five, so I went with a group to the central bank and I gave a talk to them. I think it is on YouTube, 1 hour talk with Tan Sri Daud Bakar. He was the chairman of the Sharia committee of central bank. So with him, I gave a talk. And the talk was around that why don't we pilot and try out one banking license as Wakaf Bank. Wakaf Bank. Okay. 4 licenses can be to anyone, but one license must be given to Wakaf to try to make Wakaf into a digital bank. And I think there is a lot of news articles on that. Anyway, they were very happy. Of course, they clap and this, that. And then the following year, 2020, when we had lockdown, COVID, after COVID, they announced who are they going to give. This was the announcement. GS Bank, Aeon Bank, Boost Bank, RYT Bank, and there's one more. This is part of the Middle East group. They gave 5 licenses. Wakaf, they did not give. So then I asked why. They don't understand. They don't understand. Okay. So it doesn't mean it will discourage us. We will continue, which I'm doing. I'm continuing. I'm still pushing for a Wakaf Bank license. So it didn't discourage us. But what it showed was that regulators, when you talk to regulators of your practice, Wakaf, Zakat, and others, they have limited understanding. Okay. And they are hand tied, meaning that hands are tied to help you because they have to follow a policy and a governance, which is your FSA, Financial Services Act. Okay. So under the Financial Services Act, they have to follow, they cannot go outside. Unfortunately, your area is outside that because you fall under religious council. They don't subscribe to that. They say religious council is like a social activity. You go and do separately. Okay, but they're not understanding that Wakaf, Zakah, Sadaqah were financial institutions in the olden days. So we are saying we are finance. They're saying you're not, or the Islamic banking. We need to merge them. So this is where you see in Malaysia, banks like Bank Islam, okay, Bank Muamalat, many other banks, Bank Raya, they have now opened up a division in the bank that is for social finance. And they have one head officer, director level, that is head of social finance. Under him, they will do zakat collection. Under him, they will do wakaf collection. But the bank doesn't keep the money. They collect and they disperse it back to the state zakat or state wakaf body. But they become the collection agent. That has already started happening for the last few years. And that seems to create a lot of trust by the people. Because when we go, to the people with our babariga and our hulla, and then we say, please give me some zakat, they take you like a beggar. But if the bank officer comes and say, we have calculated, here's your statement of account, this much will be deducted for your zakat. Okay, okay, sir. Yes, I'll sign. It's psychology, right? Yes. So we must start creating alliance and partnerships with the local Islamic banks to be part of our group. We need to teach them what we do. We need to learn what do they do. And that's how we create the merchant. Okay? We do our part. They do their part. So every bank, what is their primary business? Their primary business is collection, right? Deposits. That is their primary business. They just want deposits. So we say, okay, we'll give you access to all the people. Go and take the deposit for zakat. Collect the zakat. You give them some amil fees for their trouble. The balance they transfer to you. Then you disperse to the asnaf groups, right? So, but this requires fundamental change in the policy and governance within the bodies of wakaf and zakat. Without that, it's not going to happen. So, this is called reform. And reform is not that it's broken. It's not broken. Reform is we are trying to bring it to the current time. This is 2026. This is not 1980 or I don't know, 1970. This is 2026. We must reform to bring to the time, right? I think a lot of the older guys, when we write, because we learned from the primary school, cursive writing. It looked like the old British writing, like a doctor's writing. Yeah. But look at our children's writing. Look like typewriter, you know. They write so clean, like, I don't know, like typewriter. I don't know how they teach them. That's what happens. The time changed. In our time, the handwriting was used to be like that. Our children, the handwriting is totally different. It is very organized, very clean to read. Right? So the same thing for the industry. Okay. All right. So the rest of the slides on the industry are towards what is happening within each of those segments of the industry, like payments, insurance, and others. Right. Maybe I'll touch on one or two of them. I don't want to put everybody to sleep. And then, if any area interests you specifically, example takaful, or example any other area, we can debate that later on, or you can ask a question. Okay. So payments is one area that is the largest, and I want to touch on. The whole financial industry, including social finance, cannot operate without payments. Meaning, I must collect payment, I must make payment. Without that, how the industry will happen? In the olden days, people will come to the counter with the cash. I collect, I write the receipt, I chop, I give to them. Right? I want to disperse to the asnaf group. I go to the poor people. I say, you need the money. Okay, I give money. And then I have the receipt. I take their fingerprint on it that I have given it to the guy. Can we continue like this? We cannot continue. Now we can transfer the money through phone, right? Or through other means. So payments is very important. How do you collect the payments and how do you disperse the payments? So for that, the technology, right, is called payment gateway. And banks are providing it today, payment gateways, and also there are private fintechs, even in Nigeria. There are many private fintechs called payment gateway. You call them, through your website, they will integrate the payment gateway, right? And every time your user goes to your website and wants to give zakat or wakaf, they just click on how much they want to give. They put 1,000 naira, click pay, and then the bank page comes in. They put their login password and they say approve. And the payment will go from their account to your zakat. So these are payments. So we must understand this concept of payment and the technology behind payment. Understand to the point that we must utilize it. I'm not saying that you should create payment gateway. At least be able to identify who the players are, call them to your office, tell them to come and present what they have in payment gateway. Then you evaluate which are the best ones, which are in line with your principles. Okay. And then you adopt them and they will create that for you in your website. So it becomes very easy for you to collect the payments, very easy for you to disperse the payment to the right people. So payments is one key area. And payments is huge, right? It's huge. In Malaysia, I think bulk of all the transactions that are happening is happening through payment gateway. Cash is becoming minimum to the point I think next few years there will be no more cash. Nobody carries cash anymore. Everything. Now, I mean, we can compare. See, now in this time and age, comparison with with UK and US is you're wasting your time. Wrong comparison. Those guys are legacy. They're dinosaur already. You must compare with what China is. Go to China and see, and you will. China is, I would say, easily 100 years ahead of United States. They are so advanced, so advanced. If you want to see the future today, you want to see what will happen 50 years down the road, go to China. Just go to China and spend 1 week or 10 days in China. Any city is irrespective, any city. Your eyes will open what the future looks like. The cars, the buildings, right? The restaurants, everything is too advanced. The quality is so good. The price is so cheap. It's not like US, UK. You go US, UK, most of the time I'm hungry because I can't even afford to buy biscuit. It's so expensive. £5, one packet of biscuit. When you convert in our money, I think not possible to eat biscuit. But you go to China, the biscuits are so cheap. The bread is so cheap. The soft drinks are so cheap. Chicken is so cheap. It is even cheaper than Malaysia. We go there, we have, and the quality is so good. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they do. Everything from food to car to building, anything, the quality is so good. Okay? We must learn from this, what these people have done, right? And I think we have examples from Prophet's time and say, you want to learn? Go to China. Doesn't mean go to China, but that was just to travel, right? To travel. But now it is worth traveling to China. Okay? So please, if you want in the future to learn about future, go to China. Okay? So in China, all the payment, there is no cash. That's the biggest problem happen. When we land in China, we are carrying all the US dollar here. I carry my MasterCard, Visa card. Visa I put, doesn't work. They don't allow any US and European things to work in their country. They close all the Visa, they close all the MasterCard. You bring US dollar, they say, nah, take it away. Scrap, rubbish. So how I can pay? Oh, you go on your phone, you download Alibaba. Alibaba? Yes. Their payment is Alibaba. You download Alibaba, you can do any payment. You want to pay $1, you pay here, scan and pay, you go to the restaurant, you pay here, you go enter taxi, you pay, anything is your phone with the Alibaba. You can do anything. Alipay, they call it Alipay, but it's from the company name is Alibaba. The payment gateway is Alipay. Everything is Alipay. Okay, look at it. Without knowing, they use Muslim name, Ali. Ali. So we should actually go there and say, you are our brother. We also believe in Ali. So yeah, China is advanced when it comes to technology in financial industry. Snapshot on payments. Okay, the new thing that's happening in payments, right, in the last 5 years, is that many countries, especially the developing countries, okay, I don't know how far Nigeria is in it, but it's at least in Southeast Asia and China. All countries are integrating their payment gateways. So last time we had to go to next country, you carry US dollar, you convert, you spend, right? Now is, as long as you have Alipay, you can go to any Southeast Asia country. You can use the same payment. No need to change, no need to convert, no need to worry about different login password, is the same. So the countries like Singapore, right, Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia, India, China, Korea, payments are all the same. No need to change any money. Even though they have their local money, but there is no need for changing anymore. It's the same one mobile app. You can take it to any country and use it for any currency. From the smallest shop to the largest shop, it's all the same. Wouldn't that be nice to have a payment gateway for ECOWAS or for West African countries or other, that we have only one mobile, I can go to Niger Republic, I can go to Ghana, I can come to Nigeria, is the same. I don't care about changing any money any place. Yes? It's already working. It's working in Southeast Asia. Why don't we adopt that? So in collection of our zakat, collection of our wakaf, is just one. Just use. I don't need to worry about I change money, US dollar, this, that. It's just one. So somebody wants to give zakat from Niger Republic, but they feel they want to give it to Sozicom here. They just go to Sozicom website and thank, transfer, I collect. Because it's up to the individual decision where they want to give their zakat, right? Is borderless. And that is what technology is doing. Technology slowly is bringing back the caliphate itself. Because caliphate was no borders. We didn't recognize currency, we didn't recognize borders. We just knew that there are areas, there are villages and this, that, but we didn't believe in all that division, right? And that's what I think our Sultan said today as an advice to us, right? That you are Muslim, you are brothers, right? And you are all equal. There is no one better than you other than in your religious practices. He reminded us today. I think we should take that forward, right? In our work as well. That wakaf, zakat, sadaqah must be available to everybody in any country, any currency. You should not restrict. I mean, I know there are regulations. I'm not trying to revolutionize anything, but I'm just promoting what is possible because of technology. That somebody wants to give zakat from Malaysia to Nigeria, should be made available. Why not? Somebody wants to create from Nigeria, they want to create a wakaf in India. Why not proceed for the benefit of people in India? Should be allowed, right? Technology can do that. Our current policies will not allow that, okay? But technology will allow. So this is what technology adoption and utilization can do for us. Okay. Digital wealth management is another area that the Wakaf industry is looking heavily into. What this digital wealth management is that, over time, the Muslim people themselves, and not Muslim, but generally all the world population has become, has changed, okay? If you recall, okay, and we have stories during Sahaba's time and then onwards, many stories, right? That when the poor came to ask for donation, to ask for some, charity, people didn't care about how much they give. If the person had 10 gold coins in his pocket, he took out all and he gave. Okay? And people were doing so when they were going for war, he will sell his house, he will everything for the war effort for the Muslim people. He didn't care after that where he lived. Okay? And that was the culture. But today, if I go around this room now with a bowl, give me money. 100% all of you will give. But you will look for the smallest one. So you have 10 naira, 50 naira, 100, 500, 1000. I can bet you, even though you have all stacked up, you will not take the 1000 one. You'll go from the smallest one. Depending on the situation you see. If the guy looks very desperate, broken legs and very bad situation, and right, okay, maybe I give a little bit more. But generally, I'll take small. What has happened over the years, right, is psychology. Okay, because we became materialistic. I need to have the best phone. I need to have the best car. I need to have the best food and all this and that, right? So because of that, we became materialistic. So we'll break for Asir, but maybe another 5 minutes. We became greedy because we learned from the Western culture greed. Greed is number one, not charity. Because the intention, the niyyah in the olden days was, if I give now, 10 or 100 times of this will be given to me in the hereafter. And that I had, my iman was 500%. I knew it. Today, I'm actually not sure. If I give, what will I get in the hereafter? Who has sent the hereafter? Who can tell me the story from hereafter? People, iman has become less. So because of that, my greed takes over and I give small. Okay? And that's general. So I'm not trying to put anyone down or not trying to put society down. This is just a fact. And we must realize the fact. Because we are trying to create something based on current status to move forward. Okay? So moving forward, how then do I get more money from these people for sadaqah and zakat? I don't want money to me. I want money for my zakat and wakaf. I want more money from them. How can I raise more money? So what we have started doing since 2018 and 19, we changed the model We don't tell anyone, please give me sadaqah and zakah. We say, invest into us. And that is wealth management. Digital wealth management. Invest into us for your benefit and for society's benefit. Okay. Of course, zakat you cannot invest, right? Of course, some part of it, if it's a short-term investment, you can do, but not long-term. But wakaf is one that you can do investment. So this brings us into, again, the nature of wakaf. Wakaf is not charity. I keep telling this in every conference. And a lot of the wakaf board chairmen and the wakaf chairmen suddenly, get up and look at me, But I tell them, sorry, wakaf is not charity. Wakaf was never charity. Maybe sadaqah, zakat, of course, but wakaf was never charity. Wakaf always was asset management. So for people who have done finance, people who have done banking will understand what is asset management. For the purpose of others, let me explain. Asset management is when an asset, whether it is cash, land, property, is given to you, and you're supposed to take care of it and make money from it. It's just like a relative will say, I have few apartments. I give you one apartment, you rent, whatever money you get from it, we can share. But you manage. So every day when you rent, you will go to change the bulb if the bulb spoils. You will do the plumbing. You will clean the place, right? So you are maintaining. For your effort, so old man will come to wakaf and say, here is a plot of land as agriculture. I give you wakaf. Then he passes away. You bury him. Is he getting any ajr from that land? No, because you didn't utilize it. The question comes back, why you are not utilizing it? Why you didn't plant anything here? Oh, because I have no money. I have no capital. To plant for the seeds and for the fertilizer, for the workers, I need few million. I don't have that money. So now the guy has already died. You accepted the wakaf as a nazir, but you are not exercising it. Is injustice to them, right? So a lot of time, whether you want to take this as a nazir or not, that's up to you. But I would say asset management is the key. And this is where we learn from the banking industry, Islamic banking industry, the practices of asset management. So in the olden days, right, again, I come back. In the olden days, the practice, right, of this asset management was when a big wakaf was given, right, to develop that mosque, to develop that orphanage, to develop that hospital. It's not that the Sultan gave 1,000 gold coins, go and build. No. He allowed you to raise money using a Islamic finance contract. Okay. So they will say, we are going to create a wakaf, wakala. And it is for the purpose of developing the mosque. So all the villages and all the towns, when they hear this news, and in the olden days, right, whether it's Nigeria or it is India or Istanbul, the way they spread news, there was no internet, there was no TV or radio. How do you spread the news? There'll be the guy from the palace on one horse or camel. There will be two drums on the side, and he is beating and he's going and announcing that, listen, there is a mosque going to be built. Whatever you want to donate, please go and give it to this person. Right? That is how the news was spread. And then whoever heard, the woman will come out of the house, she will take one gold this one, and this is my wakaf for the mosque. Another one will say, in the house, there are some things, they'll take out, plate something, here is my wakaf. From this, the money was collected to build. Now, what was this? What do we call this today? In today, we have come out with a very nice word for it, crowdfunding. In the olden days, this was crowdfunding, right? All the people contribute whatever they can give. You collect this to build the mosque, to build the orphanage, to build the agriculture, to build the dam, whatever, to build the road. We were the first pioneers of crowdfunding, even though Western people will say now we are doing crowdfunding. We were already doing crowdfunding 1,000 years ago. For every project, we were doing crowdfunding because we had no bank. The only way to raise money capital was through crowdfunding, right? And people gave a lot because they had the iman, whatever I give, I'll get 100 times more in the hereafter. And that is how we develop infrastructure. in the Muslim countries. Okay. So wealth management, just to close it off before we go for prayer, to close it off, wealth management is that the psychology has changed of people where they have iman, right? I think Allah is the best judge of anybody's iman. They have iman. But what happens is they have selfishness. They are always thinking, what do I get when I give? So when they give money in the charity, they feel proud, I've given. But if you come every day to collect from them, they get tired, donor fatigue. Okay, they don't want to see you after that. But if you go to them and say, you give me 1,000 naira today for charity, but in 1 year, I will give you back 1,100 naira, 10% more. Tell me who will not give charity? Everybody want to give charity after that because the money is increasing, not in giving. So that is the concept of wakaf. Wakaf is asset management. You take the money, you deploy it into agriculture, you make profit, and you can return some of it. And that is the concept of temporary wakaf or wakaf ROI, return on investment. So again, many countries, based on the religious council, regulations, they practice in different ways. Like Malaysia is not allowed. Whatever you give in wakaf is gone 100%. You can never demand anything back from it. You cannot say, I'm giving you my wakaf for 5 years. After 5 years, return back my land. No. Once you make the niyyah, wakaf is gone. But then Saudi Arabia, how? Saudi Arabia, temporary wakaf is allowed. In Makkah, I have a land. I can give it for 5 years. And on the 6th year, I can take it back. This is the title transfer from wakaf back to me. Temporary wakaf. So, of course, there are some differences based on the mazhab. Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, So there are some differences. And different countries have adopted in different. So again, I'm not trying to create any controversy. I'm saying we are within our rights, okay, of the Sharia law and within the mazhab rules. But you have a venue to raise money for wakaf through other means also when you link them to Islamic finance through what is called wealth management. So people are saving a lot of money in their bank account. And that money is actually not doing anything. It's just sitting in the bank account. You can go to them and say, give that money for 5 years into wakaf. Wakaf will deploy it into some activity. After 5 years, they will return back your money. That's a temporary wakaf. Right? So this is where more and more I can tell you that to be a practitioner in the zakat wakaf space, you must know finance and accounting. Sorry to say that, but you must know finance and accounting. And of course, with finance, you must also know a little bit of the Islamic finance, the Sharia principles, because we can't do interest-based, right? So we must know the Sharia way of writing our contracts. And the moving forward, this is what I promote to all the wakaf and zakats that I speak to, that all of you as practitioners must go for finance and accounting training, basic training. At least know the basic. And if you complete that, the following you can top up more training knowledge is learn about Islamic banking. Okay? So it's not that you're going to become bankers, but you will become better at wakaf and zakat by having that knowledge. Okay? All right, let's break for Asir. And I know last one we said 30 minutes, but we disappeared for 1 hour. What we tried this time, we try for 30 minutes. Okay? And come back now is 4. We come back by 4:30. We'll do the next last session for about an hour, and we'll try to finish out between 5 and 5:30, inshallah. Okay. Any questions? Everybody happy? Anybody falling asleep? They think this is boring? It's not boring. Okay, alhamdulillah, it's not boring. Okay.
I think in between there is Irfan.
Okay. So do you want to do Irfan and then me, or you want me to finish off and then give Irfan?
No, Irfan comes in.
Okay.
You will rest a little.
Okay.
Come in and finish.
Okay.
No matter how much time we take.
Okay.
We have to.
No, I don't want to tire everybody, so we'll try to.
We must finish it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Very
Inshallah.
important and engaging.
Yes.
No.
Any questions? Anything? 4:15. That's 45 minutes from now.
No,
I'm okay.
it's already 4:06.
Now is yeah. So try it for 4:30. Try to come over 4:30. Okay.